Yeah, good evening, students. One second, let me just share the screen. Yeah. You guys able to see the screen? Yes, no? Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay. So today we'll be discussing three topics. So one is quadratic, other is progressions, and third is logarithm. Okay. So I'll be quickly solving one by one. Okay. I've taken some questions for discussion. So I'll be solving them one by one. And in between, if at any point a theory is required, okay, so you can unmute your mic and you can ask me to explain the theory. More or less, whenever the theory is required, I'll be explaining. Okay. So yeah, is there an option for you guys to unmute? No. Okay. Acha. Okay. So I'll do one thing. I'll be checking the chat box like a little frequently. Every 5-10 minutes, I'll check the chat box. So if anyone is having any doubt, na, you type it there. So maybe if not immediately, I'll check it. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Fine. Okay. So let's see the first question here. Show that this expression will be perfect square if A equals to B equal to C. Okay. So here they have given a quadratic expression and they are saying it is a perfect square. The point is, when will be a quadratic expression perfect square? Here leading coefficient is 1. Na? So x square plus ax plus b is there, for example. This is a quadratic. Now x minus alpha into x minus beta, if alpha, beta are the roots of this quadratic. And this quantity will be perfect square if alpha equals to beta. Correct? Because if alpha is equals to beta, it will become x minus alpha whole square, which is a perfect square. So indirectly, basically here, when they say perfect square, what do they mean is, they indirectly mean they're asking for equal roots. They are saying that this quadratic expression has equal roots. Okay. So we know the condition. I hope that you know the condition for equal roots. It's pretty basic. If a quadratic equation has equal roots, then discriminant must be 0. So now discriminant is b square, that is 4 times sorry, let me just write it again. 2 times a plus b plus c whole square is equals to 4 times a is 1, c is 3 times ab plus bc plus ca. Now, if you go ahead and do the simplification, finally, you will be getting something like this: a square plus b square plus c square minus ab minus bc minus ca. Now, the other reason I want to discuss this question is, basically, I want to tell you guys 2 points. One point is, whenever a quadratic expression is perfect square, it means that it has equal roots. Okay. And second thing, this identity, which I'm going to write now next. So what is this a square plus b square plus c square minus ab minus bc minus c? We'll be encountering it at so many places. And even if you see last 2 to 3 years JEE mains question, so this equation is coming very frequently. Okay, this expression. Okay, so actually this is nothing but if you multiply by half, it is 2a square plus 2b square plus 2c square minus 2ab minus 2bc minus 2ca, which you can write it as a square plus b square minus 2ab plus b square plus c square minus 2bc plus c square plus a square minus 2ac. Okay, because you can see if you add everything, you'll get the above one, 2a square like that. 2a squares are there, 2b squares are there. So which is half times a minus b whole square plus b minus c whole square plus c minus a whole square. That's it. So basically a square plus b square plus c square minus ab minus bc minus ca is nothing but half of this thing. Now, if this quantity is 0, that is what we have got. Okay. Again, I've directly written the simplification just to save some time. Okay. You know how to expand a plus b plus c whole square and all those things. No? Okay. So we got this. Okay. Now it means whenever a square plus b square plus c square minus this ab plus minus bc minus ca is 0, it means indirectly this is 0. And sum of three squares, and we know that square of any number is greater than or equal to 0, and the sum will be only 0 if all are 0. So which implies a equals to b equal to c. Okay. So next time you look at an expression which is something like this, it means it is, if that is 0, it implies a equals to b equals to c. Okay. Let me just check for any doubts once. Yeah, can you please take a minute and explain yeah, about this crash course? Vishal is asking. Yeah. Vishal, as it is there in the name itself, it's a crash course. Okay. So the idea is like in the whatever time which is left. Okay. So what best you can do. So basically it is about, it creates some kind of timetable for you also. Okay. So whatever topics we are going to discuss today, so I think the schedule is given ahead for you only. Okay. So tomorrow chemistry is there. What topics are going to be covered in chemistry, you already know. Okay. So the idea is like you revise those topics today. Okay. After going home. And then once you attend this session, it will be just like a revision. All the whatever important questions we are discussing. So that should complete the revision, more or less. See, that's the best which you can do with the required, with the whatever time left. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Now, next one. If the roots differ by unity. So, whenever you have quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0, we are familiar with sum of the roots, which is minus b by a. Okay. So the intention of giving this question is this. We know what is product of the roots, c by a. But what is the formula for difference of the roots? It is also very important, guys. Square root of discriminant by mod a. Okay. So let's say I have x square minus 3x minus 1 equal to 0. We know that sum of the roots is minus 3. Product of the roots is minus 1. And the difference between the roots will be square root of discriminant 9 plus 4 divided by modulus of a, which is in this case 1. This will be difference between the roots. Now in the question, what they have told is, if the roots of this equation differ by unity. So basically the difference between the roots is 1. So square root of discriminant, what is the discriminant for this? B square, p square minus 4q divided by mod 1, which is 1, and is 1. So which means if you square on both sides, you will get p square minus 4q must be how much here? 1. So p square equals to 1 plus 4q. Okay. Next one. Another question which is on the roots only. Okay. So whenever you get a questions like this, where the relation between the roots are given. So here they have told that the ratio of the roots is 1:3. And this condition can be anything. One root is more than 3 more than other. Okay. So basically what you need to assume is if the ratio between the roots is 1:3, one root is alpha, the root is 3 alpha. Now what is sum of the roots? 4 alpha. It is nothing but minus of minus p by 1 minus b by a, which is p. Let's say it is equation 1. What is product of the roots? Alpha into 3 alpha, which is 12 by 1 c by a. So alpha square is 4, which implies alpha will be plus or minus 2. And they are asking the values of p. So if alpha is plus or minus 2, then p will be 4 alpha, so which will be plus or minus 8. Okay, so that should be the answer. Okay, next. See, I'll read the question later, but first let me explain the background concept of this question. Okay. For example, let's say if alpha, beta are the roots of ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. Okay. For this equation, alpha and beta are the roots. What does it actually mean? It means a alpha square. If you put x equals to alpha, if I say alpha, beta are the roots, it means if I put x equals to alpha, this equation will be satisfied, correct? Or this expression will go to 0. If you put beta, a beta square plus b beta plus c is equal to 0. Okay. Now, if the roots of this equation are alpha and beta, then if I give a equation which is a times x plus 1 whole square plus b times x plus 1 plus c equal to 0. Okay, let me just repeat it again. This information is given, guys. Okay, this is given. That means alpha, beta are the roots of that, means basically indirectly this information is also given. That is given. Okay. Now, what is asked is for this equation, what are the roots? In terms of alpha, beta. Yeah, just a second. Someone's mic is on, I think. Okay. Let me just check the chat box. Where can I find the schedule of the all these things now after class, please ask your coordinator, guys. Okay, so please ask the coordinator, you will get the schedules. Okay, solution of question 3. Okay, see, this PDF I will share, no need to write. Okay, if anything you need, anything you feel important, write those points, no need to write the complete solution. This PDF I will share it with you. Okay, after the class. So it will be in some WhatsApp group, or there is some channel to send. So it will be given to you. Okay. Yeah. Coming to this one. This is given. Alpha, beta are the roots of this. Then what will be the roots of this equation, which is written here in terms of alpha and beta? See, what you need to understand is this question you need to ask. Here, in place of x plus 1, if I have alpha, the equation will be satisfied or not? The answer is yes, because in place of x plus 1, if you put alpha, what happens to this? A alpha square plus b alpha plus c. And already it is given that that is 0. No? So which means I can say that if x plus 1, if x plus 1, not alpha, sorry, if x plus 1 is either alpha or beta, the equation will be satisfied, which implies if x is alpha minus 1 or beta minus 1, the equation will be satisfied. So which means what will be the roots of this equation? It will be simply alpha minus 1 and beta minus 1. Okay. Now that is the concept behind this question here. Now let us solve this question. Okay. So what is the question which is given? A, B, C are real numbers. A is not 0. Yeah. Okay. alpha beta are the roots of this equation. You see guys, this is the same thing it is given. Alpha beta are the roots of ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. Then the roots of this in terms of alpha beta. Okay. Now, the first task will be try to write this one in the form of ax square plus bx plus c. What I mean by that is, if you look at this one, what I have written, it is also something like a into something square plus b into something plus c, correct? And this something whichever I have written, both are same. Now try to write in that form I am saying. Okay, so here a is there. Okay, very good. But here I can write ax whole square plus b into here abcx is there. So if abc is x is there, if I take b common, then it will be acx, which will be remaining, plus c cube. Now this is still not in the form, this form, okay? Or you can say ax square plus bx plus c form because of the constant. Okay, make the constant c. How to make the constant c? Divide by c square. Take c square common. What do we get? C square into, this will be a times, now ax by c whole square I can write, plus b times, if you take c square common, one c will be gone, ax by c plus c equal to 0. So which means basically a times ax by c whole square plus b times ax by c plus c equal to 0. Now does this look like a times something square plus b times same whatever that something is there, same thing, plus c equal to 0? Now in place of this something whatever box is there, if I put alpha or beta, the equation will be satisfied because that is given. No? Okay. So this, instead of ax by c, if you put alpha or beta, the equation will be satisfied. So what should be x? It should be c alpha by a, comma c beta by a. And we know what is c by a. It is alpha beta, no? This part, comma alpha beta b. So what will be the final answer? Alpha square beta and alpha beta square. Just see this question again, guys. Just if you see the question, so they have given the information that, one second, let me use a different color pen. This is given, alpha, beta are the roots of this equation, okay? Now they're asking the roots of this equation in terms of alpha, beta. So what is that you need to do? Try to write it in this form, okay? That is what we have done by taking c square common, okay? And then that in that box, if alpha and beta are there, the equation will be satisfied, alpha or beta. So that is what we have done. Okay. Let me just check the chat box if there are any doubts. Acha. Okay, okay, sure. So I think see, everyone is having some communication issue with the management. Okay, so no issues, guys. I'll inform the same. Okay, to whoever is handling this. Okay, so yeah, the attendance will be noted. So we will call you guys, or there will through some channel will communicate to you. Okay, notes, schedule, everything, whatever is there, the communication will be reached. Okay. Now don't keep so many doubts in your mind. Just concentrate on the class. Okay. Yeah. Next. So till now, what we have seen is just there is some we have seen one or two questions on the roots, that is sum of the roots, product of the roots, and all these things, equal roots, and some questions on relation between the roots, and one question on this is called transformation of equation. Okay. Now the next one is common root. I think very well known concept only. That is if this equation and this equation has a common root. What do we mean by common root? It means we are saying there exists some alpha which is root for both the equations. Okay, that's why we call common root. Okay, so let's say alpha is common root. Okay, so that means it should satisfy both the equations. Simple. Every common root questions, this is what you need to do. There are only two models. Okay, so this is the first model in the common root. What you need to do is assume that alpha is the common root. Okay, so I'm saying that there exists alpha which satisfy both the equations. That means alpha is the common root. So it should satisfy both the equations. 2 alpha square minus 5 alpha plus b must be 0, as well as 14 alpha square minus 29 alpha plus 4b must also be 0. Correct? That's it. Now this has nothing to do with the quadratic. Okay. Why? Because how many equations are there? 2 equations. How many unknowns are there? You see, unknowns, alpha and b, 2 unknowns. And we have learned from, I think, 10th or 11th, 9th only, okay, when we are solving linear equations also. If you have 2 equations and 2 unknowns, you can solve for them. How? By elimination. Okay. So either we need to find the values of b, but you can eliminate alpha, whatever. So 2 equations are there, 2 unknowns are there. Like x minus y plus 6 equal to 0. X plus y minus 3 equal to 0. 2 equations, 2 unknowns. You can eliminate y, you can eliminate x. However way you do it, you can find for x and y. Now, that is what we'll be doing here. Okay. So what we will do is this one we'll multiply by 7. We'll get 14 alpha square minus 7 means 35 alpha plus 7 beta equal to 0. Sorry, not beta, that is b. And this we'll write as it is, 14 alpha square minus 29 alpha plus 4b equal to 0. Now if I subtract both the equations, this will get cancelled. That is the intention of multiplying by 7. No? So then this will be minus 35 plus 29. It will be 6 alpha plus 3b equal to 0. So we are getting b equals to minus 2 alpha. Okay. Now this you substitute in any one of the equations. Okay. You substitute in any one of b is minus 2 alpha, substitute in first one. Let's say we'll take this option. Okay. We'll get 2 times alpha square, which is minus, yeah. 2 times alpha square minus 5 alpha plus b. What is b? Minus 2 alpha is equal to 0. So we are getting 2 alpha square minus 7 alpha equal to 0, which is alpha into 2 alpha minus 7 equal to 0, which is alpha is 0 or 7 by 2. So we got the values of alpha. How to find the values of b? B is minus 2 alpha. No? Since b is minus 2 alpha, so what will be b? Either 0 or minus 7. That's it, guys. They're asking the values of b. Simple. Assume that alpha is the common root. Substitute in both the equations, solve for them. Okay. Now all this procedure you can ignore because there is nothing to remember in this procedure. We are just solving for alpha and b. And in this question, they are asking for b. So write the values of b. If they ask alpha, write whatever alpha you got. Okay. Yeah. So let me just see if there are any doubts to any students. B is equals to 2 alpha. Achha. Okay. Fine. Let me just correct it. Yeah, I think you guys are right. Okay. So just correct this thing. Here minus 6 alpha. So you will get B as plus 2 alpha. So plus 2 alpha. So that will give us 2 alpha square minus 3 alpha equal to 0. So alpha into 2 alpha minus 3 equal to 0, which implies alpha equals to 0 comma 3 by 2. Yeah, thanks for good concentration, guys. Oh, okay, so we'll get b as 0 comma minus 3. Yeah. Okay. Next, ABC are the sides of the equation, and in this question, if you see, they are saying this and this have a common root. Okay, so this question is little different from the one which is given above, because if you think that alpha is the common root, and then if I substitute a alpha square plus b alpha plus c equal to 0, and 5 alpha square plus 2 alpha plus 13 equal to 0, now we have two equations, but how many unknowns are there? A, b, c, alpha. 4 unknowns are there. Correct? So you can't solve. Okay, equations and unknowns must be equal, no? Then only we can solve for them exactly. Okay, so what is the trick here? Nothing. If you look at this equation, the discriminant is 12 square minus 4 into 13 into 5. So which is 12 square minus, I need not find exactly what is the discriminant. I just need to know whether it is positive or negative. I'm getting negative. If discriminant is negative, you know now, guys, what is that? The roots will be of the form a plus ib, a minus ib. Acha, a is already used. So let me use p plus iq. Sorry. And p minus iq. This will be the roots of 5x square plus 12x plus 13. Okay. Now, for ax square plus bx plus c, let's say the common root is this one. So which means for this p plus iq is the root, which implies p minus iq is also to the root. No? Because if the coefficient of a quadratic expression are real numbers, then the roots will occur in conjugates. Sorry, if they are, the roots will occur in conjugates, no? In imaginary, p plus iq, p minus iq. Same way, let's say if this is the common root, that means if p minus iq is common root, it implies if p minus iq is common root means p minus iq is the root of this, which implies p plus iq is also the root. In both the cases, we are saying both roots are common, right? Because if you see the conclusion, since these two are the roots of 5x square plus 12x plus 13, we consider anyone as common root, we are getting same two roots for this one. So if two equations have common root, then what we can say? The equations are the same. Okay, you can straight away say that that means a by 5 and b by 12 and c by 13. Okay, the ratio of coefficients will be same if both the roots are common. So which means the sides of the triangle are 5k, 12k, 13k. It implies it is a right angle triangle. Okay, so side A is 5k, so opposite to vertex A, this is 5k. Side B is 12k, opposite to vertex B is 12k. Opposite to vertex C, it is 13k. So what is angle C? 90 degrees. Okay, that is what they have asked. Okay. Next, any doubts? Nice, correct, Harshil. Next one. If alpha beta are the roots of this, and they have given some inequalities. Now we are moving into graph part. Okay. So then step alpha plus step beta equals to they are asking. Okay. So that means if you draw the graph of this quadratic, that is y is equals to ax square plus bx plus c. Now, what is this a plus b plus c? By substituting what value of x will you get a plus b plus c? By substituting x equals to 1. No? So when x is 1, the value of the function is positive, they are saying. Okay, since it is positive, somewhere here it will be. I'll just mark it randomly. Okay, and when will you get the second expression, which is a minus b plus c, for what value of x? -1. Okay. So if you put x as -1, you will get a minus b plus c. And since the value of the function is negative, I'll mark somewhere here. Okay, that point will be there on the graph. And last, where will be this one? How will you get this from ax square plus bx plus c? By substituting x equals to 2. So that means if you put 2, the value of the function is negative. That is what they are saying. Okay. So how will be the graph? It's a continuous graph. So it has to be something like this. Okay, roughly. Now, here, oh sorry, actually there is one more information which is given, na? C. Now, when will you get C? By substituting what value of x? By substituting 0. If you put x equal to 0, the value of the expression will be C only. Na? So if x is 0, the value of the expression is positive. So the graph will be roughly, graph is nothing but collection of all the points, correct? Which gives this output. Na? Okay. Chalo, take it. Now you can see clearly that one root is between -1 to 0, another root is between 1 to 2. So if alpha is between -1 to 0, then what is step alpha? It will be -1. And beta is between 1 to 2. So step beta will be 1. So step alpha plus step beta will be 0. Okay. Next. Yeah, any doubt? Yeah. Answer is 0, correct. Okay. Next, coming to location of roots. Very important concept, guys. Basically, you just need to remember 3 important points. Just 3 points you need to remember here. Okay. First point. Obviously, when discriminant is greater than 0, the roots will be there like this. The graph will be like this. For discriminant 0. For discriminant, so the graph will, sorry, the pen is not functional. Yeah, now I think it is okay. Discriminant less than 0, the graph will be above x-axis like this. Okay. And second point which you need to know is, if k is in between the roots of a quadratic, then if alpha beta are the roots, if k is in between the roots, and this quadratic, let's say it is f of x, which is ax square plus bx plus c, then a into f of k will be less than 0. You can see here a is positive, f of k is negative. It is below x-axis, no? Value of the function at k. Here a is negative, f of k is positive. So both will be opposite sign. That's why we are writing it like that. Okay. And the exact opposite is obvious. Na? That is, if k doesn't lie between the roots, if k doesn't lie between the roots, then we can say that the k can be here or here, doesn't lie between the roots. Okay. In that case, a into f of k will be positive. Okay. So keep this point in mind. We will see how to approach these questions. And moreover, in the graph, I think this point is familiar only. That this is called vertex. Okay. And the x coordinate of the vertex will be nothing but minus b by 2a. Fine. Let's use all these concepts in solving these questions here. In location of roots, most important thing is visualizing the graph. Okay. So here the question says the set of values of a for which one lies between the roots of this. So they are saying this, obviously the graph of this y is equals to x square minus ax minus a plus 3 it will be opening upwards because A is 1, which is positive. Now they are saying 1 lies between the roots. If 1 lies between the roots, if K lies between the roots, what is the condition? A into f of K less than 0. So here A value is 1. F of K, what is K here? They have given 1. This must be less than 0. What is f of 1? 1 square minus A plus 3 must be less than 0. So 2A greater than 4, A more than 2. So answer is 2 to infinity. Okay. Next. The set of values of m for which both roots of the equation lie in the interval -3 to 5. Okay. So this equation has some two roots. Okay. Alpha and beta. And this is y is equals to x square minus 2mx plus m square minus 1. And both roots should be between -3 and 5. First, you see whether we can actually, if you actually look at this one observation, if you actually observe this expression, this 2m is like, these two if I observe, this can be written as m minus 1 into m plus 1. Okay. And this 2m is like m minus 1 plus m plus 1. So this expression is of the form x square minus of alpha plus beta into x plus alpha beta, which is nothing but x minus alpha into x minus beta. If you equate it to 0, the roots will be alpha and beta. So indirectly, they have already given the roots. The roots of this one is m minus 1, comma m plus 1. Not every time you will get equations like this, but this is one model. Okay. Then you may ask the question, sir, what to do if it can't be factorized that simply? Yeah, we'll come to that also. Okay. But let's so whenever they give this expression, you see whether it can be factorizable or not. Then the problem will become very simple. You will see why. Now, out of m minus 1 and m plus 1, obviously, like m minus 1 is smaller than m plus 1. Because if on the number line, if this is m minus 1 is 1 unit left, m plus 1 is 1 unit right. So the smaller root is m minus 1 and the larger root is m plus 1. Now, for both the roots to be between -3 and 5, your m plus 1 must be less than 5. Because what does it mean if I write m plus 1 is less than 5? The larger root is not exceeding 5 and m minus 1 is greater than 3. That is, the smaller root is not going before -3. Okay. So if you do that, m less than 4, this will give m greater than, sorry, that is -3. Yeah, -2. So overall, you will get m belongs to -2 to 4. Okay. Yeah. Next. Yeah. Can you explain the general method without factorization? Okay. Yeah. So what you do is, it will be a bit lengthy. Okay. Because this problem, obviously, it is not suitable for such method. Okay. Whatever we are doing. But it's okay. We'll just do it once. Okay. Or otherwise, I'll do one thing. I'll take one question, which is like, one second. Let me just. Yeah. Why? Because those questions, actually, it should be, the values are very important. Otherwise, I can't randomly give some question. Okay, I'll take one question. Okay. So let me just go to the end of the, yeah, here I'll explain. So let's say you have, first let me explain the conditions. The questions will be like both roots more than k. If both roots are more than k, the graph should be something like this. So the conditions are obvious. First condition is discriminant greater than or equal to 0. Second condition, we have already discussed that this is the vertex. No? The vertex is minus b by 2a. Or we can say, forget about the vertex. Since both roots are more than k, can I say that for this ax square plus bx plus c, alpha is more than k and beta is more than k. That means alpha plus beta will be more than 2k. Correct? Both are more than k, some will be more than 2k. Na? That is minus b by a will be more than 2k. That's all. That is the second condition. Greater than 2k. And third condition is, you can see clearly if both roots are more than k doesn't lie between the roots. So what is the condition for k not to be lying between the roots? A into f of k more than 0. If k lies in between the roots, a into f of k less than 0. No? That's all. These three conditions you have to apply. Let's take a quadratic. Quickly I will solve. X square plus 2 times a minus 1 into x plus a plus 5. This quadratic. Let's say the question is both roots greater than 3. Yeah, let us take both roots greater than 3. Let's say the question is, you have to find the values of a for which both roots of this equation are more than 3. Obviously, the first condition, discriminant greater than or equal to 0. What is the discriminant? 4 times a minus 1 whole square minus 4 times a plus 5 must be greater than or equal to 0. If I simplify, I'll get a square minus 2a minus a minus 3a. This is 1 minus 4 greater than or equal to 0. And this can be done using wavy curve, right? A minus 4 into a plus 1 greater than or equal to 0. Minus 1, 4. Plus, minus, here also plus. We need plus quantity only, no? So, a belongs to minus infinity to minus 1 closed. Union 4 to infinity. Okay? Discriminant greater than or equal to 0. That is the first condition. What is the second condition? If both roots are more than 3, sum of the roots will be more than 6. What is sum of the roots here in this expression? Sum of the roots is minus b by a, minus 2 times a minus 1 by 1 greater than 6. If you divide by minus 2, inequality will get reversed, less than minus 3, a less than minus 2. This is second condition. And third one, if both roots are more than 3, the graph will be something like this. Then a into, what is a here? Coefficient of x square, 1 into f of 3 must be greater than 0. What is f of 3? 9 plus 2 times a minus 1 into 3 plus a plus 5 must be greater than 0. Now, again, this is time taking little. Solve these three inequalities. Already we have solved 2 inequalities. Just same way you solve this one. You have to take the intersection. Okay? Common values. Because all three conditions must be satisfied. Fine. Yeah. Next. So have given some questions so that you can practice at the home. Okay. So we'll move to the next topic, that is progressions. Okay. Let me just see. Yeah. Next. So first we are discussing about AP. So they have given sum of first n terms of AP, which is 3n square plus 5n. Now we have to find out which term is 164. That is what we need to find. Okay. Now, remember this, guys. What is sum of first n terms? T1 plus T2 plus T3 plus so on till Tn. And what is Sn minus 1? T1 plus T2 plus so on till Tn minus 1. If you subtract both, you will get the nth term. No? So what is sum of first n terms? 3n square plus 5n. What is sum of first n minus 1 terms? 3 times n minus 1 whole square plus 5 times n minus 1. That's it. So 3 times 2n minus 2n plus 1, sorry, minus 1 plus 5. That is what you get if you simplify. You'll get 6n plus 2. So this is the nth term. They are saying which term is 164. 6n plus 2 is equals to 164. We'll get that. Okay. Next. So they have given two APs. This is one AP. This is another AP. They're asking how many terms are identical. Okay. Yeah. So one AP is 2, 5, 8, 11. Common difference is 3. No? So what will be the 60th term? It will be 2 plus 59 into 3. Correct? The second AP is 3, 5, 7, 9, so on. And up to 50 terms, which is 3 plus n minus 1, that is 49 into 2. Okay. So if you see, actually, this second AP is finishing a little faster no? Compared to the first AP. This is the smaller AP, you can say. Even though, yeah, the terms are also less only. Now, they're asking common number of common terms. But see, whenever you have two APs, if one AP common difference is D1, other AP common difference is D2, the common terms, common difference will be LCM of D1 comma D2. Okay. So in this case, it is LCM of what is that here? First one common difference is 3, second one is 2. So 6. So what you need to do is just find one of the common terms. I think 5 is there, no common term. So the common terms will be 5, next it will be 11, next it will be 17, 23, so on. Okay. Now, but how many common terms are there? That is the question, no? Correct? How many common terms are there? Now, this for this AP, the nth term will be 5 plus n minus 1 into common difference, which is 6. So the nth term will be 6n minus 1. Now, if they are common, this last term will be less than or equals to this, correct? So this is 98 plus 3, 101. Okay. Because the common term has to be between 3 and 101. No? Okay. It has to be existing between the second and first sequence, both. So this is the nth common term. So if you write 6n minus 1 less than or equals to 101, you'll get 6n less than or equals to 102. N less than or equals to 102 by 6. You'll be getting this is 51, 317. So n less than or equals to 17. That means the 17th term will be 101. So how many common terms will be there? 17. No? Okay. Yeah. If your question is, sir, for this AP, can't there be 18th term? Yes, there can be 18th term. But that 18th term will be there in the first AP. It will not be there in the second AP. Okay. Because the 18th term will be exceeding 101. No? It is not in second AP. So you have to be careful in that. Okay. Part. Next. This is a simple manipulation question. Just a minute, guys. Let me just. What is that? You have solved it, or we'll solve it? Huh? Achha. Everyone, try this question. Just 1 minute. One message. Okay. Yeah. So any answers? Let me just check. Answer is option C. Yeah. Okay. Let us just see which one is the correct one. So you can see obviously the event terms are missing, right? Yes or not? So what you do is in the given sequence, 1 by 1 square, you combine these terms, odd squares. And what will be remaining is the even squares only, no? And that is pi square by 6. And this sum is what you need. Let's say it is S. And if I take 1 by 2 square common from here, every term, and what will be left with? 1 by 1 square, 1 by 2 square, 1 by 3 square, 1 by 4 square. Now, what is this sum? It is pi square by 6 they have given. No? So your required sum plus pi square by 24 is equals to pi square by 6. Take it other side, you will get the sum. Okay. Next. Yeah, we can come to this question. You can do this one as a homework because similar question I have later on. Okay. Yeah, even this one is a manipulation, just simplification question only. I think you can do of your own. Okay. Yeah. But actually, this question, na, if you start applying the formula, sum of first 3n terms, because we know the formula, na, that is n by 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 into d. Now, if you start applying the formula, S3n means instead of n, 3n you have to write. Okay. But it will go lengthy. Okay. Let me just tell you a very important concept here. That is, let's take an AP. Let's take 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19. See, the point is still now, na? I don't know, mains and advanced also. It's very interesting point, but somehow they didn't ask a question on this one. Okay, so be careful. You can expect the question. Okay, I'm expecting they will ask at some point. Okay, so the thing is, if you have an AP sequence, choose some number, any number. Let's say 4 I will choose. Okay, so that means every 4 numbers I will make a set. Okay, so let me just write the next number, that is 34. Huh? Yeah. Okay, you can choose 2, you can choose 3, whatever you want you can choose. Okay, I have chosen 4. What is that? Now add those set of numbers. What will you get? You see, 17. Sorry. Yeah. 17 plus 4, 21 plus 1, 22. Okay. If you add these numbers, how much will you get? Now 22 plus these two, if you add, it will be 35 plus 13. So 3, 4, 5, 70. Okay. Now, if you add this one, what do you get? These 4 numbers, 34, 31, it is 65, 65, 25, it is 80, 80 and 28 will be 108. See the observation, guys, even these sums will be in AP, summations. Okay. So that means you can see now 22, 70, 108, they are in AP. Even if you choose 3 terms and add these 3, this 3, this 3, add them and see what will be the sum that will be in AP. Okay. Even if I take n terms, okay. So T1, T2, T3, so on till Tn, Tn plus 1, Tn plus 2, till T2n, T2n plus 1, so on till T3n. If I take n terms like this, you add them, what will you get is, you will be getting a AP. So that means they will be of the form A minus D, A plus D. That is the form which they will be. Now, what is S3n, guys? S3n is T1 plus T2, so on till T3n. Now, is it simply a minus d plus a plus a plus d, which is 3a? Okay. Now, what is given in the denominator? S2n minus Sn. What is S2n? T1 plus T2 plus so on until T2n. If you subtract Sn, that is T1 plus T2 so on until Tn, that means from the 2n sum, this whole thing, you are subtracting this part. What will be remaining? N plus 1 to 2n only, no? And which is nothing but a. So if you divide both, what will be the answer? 3 only, right? Okay. So it took a while to explain this concept, but once you know that concept, it won't take much time to solve this question. Okay, guys. So what is that thing which I wanted to explain from this is, if you have an AP, you can continuously divide it into any number of set of any number of terms. That means whatever I have circled, the pink one, it is set of 3 numbers side by side. Okay. If you add those 3 numbers in each circle, they will be in AP. And you can take 4 numbers continuously, 5, 6, any. Okay, that is the concept there. And these are the questions which are manipulation questions. You can do yourself, guys. Okay. Yeah. Next, this AGP. Okay. These are important concepts, like which you should know, okay, must do. So if you have like AGP 1 plus 2 by 5, how I am saying this is AGP? It is because each and every term is multiplication of 2 terms. Okay, let me 1 second. Let me just check for any doubts. Yeah, option D is also correct. C and D. Yeah, independent of one. Correct. Achha, that is 118. See, please ignore my calculations. It's end of the day, na? I think brain is saying enough for today. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, coming to this question. So you have like here two product of 2 terms, na? If you see, 1 terms are in AP, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. The other term is in GP. Whenever you have this kind of situation, the first term need not be in AP. Okay. You will see that there will be some questions where the first terms are not in AP. Okay. But still we follow this method. That is, if the series contains a GP, then you write first S, then multiply by the common ratio of the GP. It is 1 by 5. So I'm writing S by 5. Okay. So now what you do is, what is 1 into 1 into 1 by 5? 1 by 5. I'll write that here. Okay. Next, this 2 into 1 by 5 is there, na? Second term. If I multiply with 1 by 5, what will I get? 2 into 1 by 5 whole square. And this third term, if I multiply by 1 by 5, I will get 3 into 1 by 5 whole cube. And that continues. Now, what you need to do is just subtract these two. Now, these two, so 4s by 5 is equals to 1 plus, if I subtract these two, 2 times 1 by 5 minus 1 by 5, it is 1 by 5. If I subtract these two, it will be 1 by 5 square. If I subtract these two, then 1 by 5 cube, you will get a GP every time. So finally, it will be A by 1 minus R, so which is 5 by 4. So S will be 25 by 16. Okay. Yeah. The next one is based on nth term of HP. Easy question, guys. Okay. If you just revise the HP, I'm leaving some questions which you can do it yourself. Okay. Even the next one, it is easy only. Okay. Yeah, this is interesting one. Okay, and very important, guys. Let me just check the chat box. Yes, see. Yeah, if there are complex questions, now I'm trying to solve it in the classroom. Okay. See, if you see, this is the first class, so I'm going at a slower pace. I am assuming some pace, and I'm taking the class. Now you give the feedback. Okay, there will be some channel to give the feedback. See, again, I will tell you. You guys will be in one WhatsApp group. There will be communication properly. You give the feedback. Okay, we need more tough questions or whatever you require. Slowly, we'll correct it. Na? Okay. Sorry, we can't do slowly. It is just like 10 days of maths. Huh? We have to correct it immediately the next class. Okay. So that will be done. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, coming to the point, actually, this concept is nothing but insertion of, we say, arithmetic means and geometric means or harmonic means between two numbers. Okay. Important concept, guys. Remember, the language is important here. If they say that n arithmetic means are inserted between, I'm explaining something which is not related to the question at all. Okay. If n arithmetic means are inserted between A and B, then so I'm assuming that n arithmetic means are A1, A2, A3, so on till AN. If n arithmetic means are inserted between A and B, then A, A1, A2, A3, so on till AN, comma B, they are indirectly saying that is in AP. Okay. If they say n geometric means are inserted between A and B, okay, so same thing, n geometric means, I'll not write the entire thing. Then it means A, let's say the geometric means are G1, G2, so on, Gn. It means A, G1, G2, G3, so on till Gn, comma B, they are in GP. Okay. Now some important AP formulas I'll give you. Okay. Just like some shortcuts or something like that. Because we'll use them here. Okay. If same way NHMs means A, H1, H2, H3, so on till Hn, comma B, they will be in HP. Okay. Yeah. See the simple shortcut formulas are, if you know mth term and nth term, if you do this, you will get the common difference of any AP. Okay. Next, number of terms in a AP is last term minus first term by common difference plus 1. Okay. And also you are very familiar with this one. That is sum of AP is nothing but number of terms by 2 into first term plus last term. See, I know that you are familiar in writing the formula n by 2 into A plus L, but there is a reason why I'm writing it like this. Okay. Now, coming to this one, that's all. These formulas you remember. Now, let us come to solving this question. Okay. See, we'll be using them. How we will be using them? You see. Let this be in AP and this be in HP. And they gave A1, H1 as 2. That means A1 is 2. A10 is 3. So A2, A3, so on till A9, comma, this is 3. Okay. This is in AP, they are saying. And 2, H1, H2, so on till H9. H10 they have given it as 3. This is in HP they have given. Okay. Now, A4 I need to find. How to find A4? See, think like this. This is the first term. This is the 10th term, because here in between 8 are there. No? So what will be the common difference of this AP? If you know two terms, you will know the common difference, because Tm minus Tn by 10 minus 1, you will get 3 minus 2 by 9, which is 1 by 9. Okay. Now, to first term, if I add common difference, I will get A2. If I add common difference one more time, I will get A3. One more common difference if I add, I will get A4. So what will be A4? The first term plus 3D, which is 2 plus 3 by 9, which is 2 plus 1 by 3, 7 by 3, I can say. Okay. We got A4. Same way you can do H4. How? Because 2, 1 by 2, sorry, let me write it properly. 1 by 2, 1 by H1, 1 by H2, so on, 1 by H9, 1 by 3. This is in AP. Again, you can, if at this AP, there will be some common difference. That common difference will be nothing but, you know the first term, you know the 10th term. So it will be T10 minus T1 by 10 minus 1. Same way you do 1 by 3 minus 1 by 2 divided by 10 minus 1. You will get it as minus 1 by, this is 3 to 6, 6 nines, 54. That's it. Now, what is H7? H7, you can get it from here. No? This term, if you subtract D, you will get 1 by H9. D, 3 times. So that means 1 by 3 minus 3 times common difference will be 1 by H7. You will get H7, multiply, you will get the answer. There is another method also, but now time is not there. Okay. But I will give it in solution to you. Okay. Next, sum to infinite terms. Not only this sequence, guys, whenever you have something like this, 1 by 1 into 2 into 3. Just 2 questions I will explain, guys. Then afterwards, I'll end the class. Okay. But these 2 are very important because I have to extend the class to get this concept clear. These 2. Okay. This question as well as the next one. Okay. See here. So whenever you have terms multiplying in the denominator like this, 1 by 2 into 3 into 4, plus 1 by 3 into 4 into 5, even this can be an infinite sequence now. Correct? Or, now this is 3 terms. Now the funda is very simple. Whenever you have like this kind of pattern, here first and last term, in each term, the first number which is multiplied in the denominator and the last term which is multiplied. If you observe, the difference is 2. Okay, always take the difference of the first multiplied term and the last multiplied term. Okay, so that 2 you write in the every numerator. So that means every numerator I'm replacing 1 with 2. But you may say, sir, if you're replacing 1 with 2, we'll get a different answer. Yeah, I will write 1 by 2. Okay, whatever answer we'll get double. Na? So if I multiply with 1 by 2, then it's okay. Na? Now this 1 by 2, this 2 you write down it as 3 minus 1 in the first one. In the second term, 2 can be written as 4 minus 2. And the third one, 5 minus 3. And here 6 minus 4. Now you see the terms will get cancelled like a magic only. Okay, that means if you separate them, 3 by 1 into 2 into 3 is 1 by 1 into 2. And next one is 1 by 1 into 2 into 3. Okay. Next, plus 4 and 2, if you separate, 1 by 4 by 2 into 3 into 4, 4 will get cancelled. And next 2 will get cancelled. 2 will get cancelled means 3 into 4 will be there. Next 5 gets cancelled, 1 by 3 into 4. 3 gets cancelled means 4 into 5. Next in this first 6 will get cancelled, 1 by 4 into 5. Next it will be 1 by 5 into 6. Now you can see when you add them, this 2 into 3, 2 into 3 gone, 3 into 4 gone, 4 into 5 gone, 5 into 6 will be gone. So if you go till infinity, nothing will be left at infinity, 1 by infinity, which is almost 0. So finally, what will be the answer which you get? Half of 1 into 2. which is 1 by 4. Correct? The same way here also, the difference is 2. So write here 2. Okay. 2 in every numerator. And to balance it, write 1 by 2 outside. Okay. And you know what to do next. No? Okay. That's it. Now, one last thing. Whenever you have a sequence like this, okay, the two things are very important: finding the nth term and sum of first terms. Okay. The sequence, if you observe, 5. So I'm writing the sequence 1, 6. This is very commonly occurring sequence. No? That is a sequence where the difference is in AP. So it is very important for you to know, for these kind of sequences, how to write the nth term. Okay. Simple. Observation. The first term is 1. What is the second term? 1 plus 5. That is 1 plus 5. If I do, I'll get the second term. What will be the third term? 1 plus 5 plus 7. So let me write the third term. 1 plus 5 plus 7. What will be the fourth term? 1 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9. If you do, I'll get the fourth term. No? Correct? So this will be valid for any question, guys. Whenever you have a pattern in the difference, it may be AP, it may be GP, doesn't matter. Here, what the funda here is, we are adding the common differences. Sorry, we are adding the differences to get those terms. Okay. So if you want the fourth term, 3 differences you have to add. First 3 differences. Okay, between the terms. If you want the third term, 2 differences. If you want second term, 1 difference. If you want fifth term, how many differences we have to add? 4 differences. Now I need not even look at the series because I know the differences are in a pattern. So I know that next will be 11 only. What will be the sixth term? I have to add 5 differences. What are the 5 differences which are there? 5, 7, 9, 11, and next is 13. What will be the seventh term? 6 differences I have to add now. So 1 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11 plus 13 plus 6, 15. You may say, sir, I didn't write the next term, you didn't write the next term, but still you are writing. Because we have seen the pattern in the differences. No? Okay. Now tell me, what will be the nth term? It will be 1 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9. How many differences you have to add? N minus 1 terms. That is N minus 1 differences you have to add. So the answer will be, this is AP, N minus 1 terms, answer will be N minus 1 by 2. Number of terms by 2 into 2A plus number of terms minus 1, which is N minus 2 into what is the common difference? 2. Na? So if I simplify, I'll get 1 plus N minus 1 into this 2. If I divide 5 plus N minus 2, you'll get 1 plus N minus 1 into N plus 3, which is 1 plus N square plus 2N minus 3. So N square plus 2N minus 2. This is the nth term of this sequence. Okay. Because if you put 1 plus 1 square plus 2 minus 2, which is 1. If you put 2 square plus 2 into 2 minus 2, which is 6, you will get that one. Okay. Now, once you have the nth term, how to find the sum of n terms? Okay. Whenever you have the nth term, this is one last concept. It will take 1 minute. After that, I'll end the class, guys. But pay attention. Because the next question also, I'm giving for homework. This sum you need to find. Okay. So whenever you have a sequence which is neither in AP nor in GP, but you are asked to find the sum of n terms, you write the nth term of that sequence first. Now here the nth term of the sequence is like this. No? Now I'll tell you, write the rth term. Then write the rth term. N can be replaced by R. No? And what is sum of first n terms? Sigma TR only, na? R equals to 1 to N, which is sigma R square plus 2R minus 2, which is sigma R square plus 2 times sigma R. Now sigma rules you need to revise, guys. Otherwise, I'll explain next day. I'm just writing the answer directly. And what is sigma r square? Sum of squares of first n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 by 6 plus 2 times n into n plus 1 by 2. Now this 2 times sigma 2 is 2n. Now this may look complicated, but in exam, mostly the important point is how to write the nth term.